welcome to this episode. Today we're going to be talking about focus points on this Canon 90D and how to control those focus points on this camera. So you've got on this camera, I've switched it on. So basically I've switched it on. It's on, as you can see, and I've got it in manual mode. And on this camera, you've got, so if I click on this info button and go to, so if I click on this button first, the start button, and then click on info, I've got my touchscreen menu. Now in here, if I click on AF focus, you've got AI autofocus, you've got one-shot focus. So you got your kind of like your standard A server focus as well. But if you click on this tab here, this is where you can control your focus points. So this is all touchscreen. So you can literally click on it like this and sort of go through this. This last icon, it doesn't select, but it does allow you to select the 5 that's available to you. So basically click on that one. So that's your first one. And this is basically your manual spot focus. So you can sort of select a very detailed focal point and move it around like this. So say for example, you've got like a kitten and you want the legs to be in focus. You might sort of pivot these focal points to your point and then select it and then take a photograph in response to that. The next one is your one focus point. So this is a bit more sort of rounded focal point. It's not as directed. And again, this you want to select it to an eye, for example. So you might want to go right to the top of the eye if it's a portrait and focus on the eye. So, you know, I would suggest you use this if you're doing portrait photography as focal points. And it selects one focus point. This one, it collects a zone focus points. So what it does, it picks 9 focus points within the ratio, and you can sort of move it around like this to select the right aspect ratio of zone of focal points that you want. So that's useful. Again, if you want certain subject matters in focus and the rest not in focus, you would use that one. And the next one is a larger focal points. I think some people will like this because they want more focusing of imagery and less depth of field. So you would select a larger range of focal points within your frame. So you know, it gives you a larger perspective, but you can only select either the left, right, or the middle. The next one is automatic. So this one, what this one will do is it will automatically focus on focus points within a frame. So if you say you've got 10 people in a subject, then it will focus into key elements that the camera recognizes to focus. So it's really entirely up to you which one you want to go with. Me personally, I would probably go with specific ones. If I'm doing portrait photography, I will go with that one. If I'm doing, you know, sort of more kind of like detailed imagery and I want a lot more things in focus, I might go for this selective focal points. And again, it allows me to select it within the digital viewfinder as well by clicking on this AF selection mode button here as well. If I click on this Q button, go back to my menu and click on this AF selection button here. So it's the AF selection button over here. I click on that, it will focus into a subject. So you can see it's really worth, before you release the shutter, is to click on this AF selection point. So I've got this Rode mic box over here and I'm just clicking on it. You can see the camera is focusing into areas within that box as well. So that's very, very useful. Okay, you know, so I can move it around, and before I've taken the picture, and there you go, I'm taking the picture and it's focused into that particular area. So very, very useful. Go back to my Q button. Click on this digital screen. In here you've got also auto tracking. So auto tracking allows you to track the image. So if I click on enable, so that's an enable now, and I select an object, so that's now tracking that object. And if I move that object, it should allow me to track that object. So you can see that it should be now tracking that object. It's not in focus because I'm on a 50mm lens, but you can clearly see that it's tracking that object. So that's very, very useful for like objects that you may want to track. And again, if you click on your AF focus point, again, it will refocus into that subject matter. So that's very, very useful. So for example, if you've got moving things that are moving at high speed and you want to capture those things in focus, it's really worth selecting your tracking. So go to your tracking, enable that, and then go to AF, focus into, and then take your photographs or film your subject because it will be much more in focus. So very, very useful. So yeah guys, thanks for watching. So today was all about talking about focus points on this Canon 90D and talking about tracking as well. Any questions, please do post and I'm happy to respond to your questions. Thanks a lot guys, see you later, bye.